Achilles, are you kidding me? The greatest hero in ancient Greece ever. And you're going to come up with this muckety muck of, I'll save you if you really want me to. Salve, kuragi sorie, eko sumbene. You guessed Echo Achilles. And today we're going to talk about this girl, Iphigenia at Aulis. Now, Iphigenia is not a name that most people have heard before, and that's fine. I would consider her a privileged girl. She's a princess. In fact, she's the daughter of Agamemnon and Clytemnestra, king and queen of Mycenae. A bit privileged, I would say, not to mention her aunt is Helen and her uncle is Menelaus. So that gives us the setting of who this girl is. She has a sister named Electra and a little brother named Orestes, who becomes much more important later on. So there's a big problem swirling around in Greece right now. What happened is this boy Paris was promised Helen as a reward for choosing Aphrodite in the beauty contest, if you'll remember that story. So she made it possible for him to get Helen. Now this largely probably happened while Menelaus was away doing other things. He swoops in all his beauty and sweeps Helen off her feet, or so one story goes. Another says he kidnapped her. Either way, he's got Helen. Menelaus is angry. He's so angry that he runs off to his brother Agamemnon for help. There was that pact between all the suitors who came for Helen that if anything happened to her or her husband, all the suitors and everybody would come together and help him out. Well, that's exactly what we've got going on here. 1,000 ships, or so the story goes, gathers in this little port of Aulis. You know, Helen was the face that launched 1,000 ships, so that makes sense, right? Why is it so important that they get Helen back? Is it really all about Helen? Why are they going after Troy? Troy is very wealthy, and it's always been this golden thing in the sky that the Greeks just could not attain. They couldn't destroy it, but they wanted it. So really that's the undercurrent of why they want to go fight against Troy and take Troy. Helen just provides the excuse. Also, if you've ever read anything by Herodotus and know anything about ancient Greek culture, you know that they had this overwhelming undercurrent within their society that a man could never become too wealthy or too happy, because then he will attract the eyes of the gods, who become jealous and will do what it takes to knock him down off of that wealth, out of that happiness. This is a key concept called the reversal of fortune. So as it stands, Troy is set to have its reversal of fortune. Now here's our second problem, and the one that really drives the story of this part of the play. I'm going to move this down so you can see it for now. Dea Artemis irat est, jubete sacrificium offere. So they're all gathered there. They're waiting. The Greeks are partying in the sea, on the shores. And eventually they're like, look, what's going on? Are we going to head off to war or not? Otherwise, I'm going home. I got a wife, I got stuff to do, other places to pillage. This is getting old. And Agamemnon happens to, at this point, get a visit from a guy named Calchas. Calchas is a prophet. And he comes along and he says, oh, the winds won't raise the sails. Why? Why won't the winds blow? Without the wind, these ships aren't sailing anywhere, because somebody killed a deer on sacred ground to Artemis and certainly didn't ask her permission. Now again, as with all these myths, there's various different stories behind each thing and elements that change to fit the narrative. This is the one that I heard first and the one I tend to align with myself. Feel free to look them all up. There are others, but don't go killing a deer, something precious, to Artemis on sacred ground to her and never have gotten permission. So Calchas tells him that, well, in order to appease Artemis and have the wind start to blow again, you're going to have to sacrifice something dear to yourself. The most precious thing to you, as a matter of fact. And Agamemnon knows that this means I need to give up my daughter. I need to kill my daughter, Iphigenia? No. But if he doesn't, the winds won't blow. And Agamemnon makes this statement, I would never kill my daughter. And of course the Greeks bully him, and so Agamemnon says, no, I'm not going to kill my daughter, but all the Greeks start bullying him. Look, we need to go, we want to sack Troy. And Menelaus puts a lot of pressure on Agamemnon. What do you mean you won't do this for me? You won't sacrifice your child so that the greater good of the Greeks is served. This greater good being to go get my Helen. More so that they all want the money and the fame that comes along with it. So Agamemnon goes back and forth. He says, all right. You're right. I have to do this. Otherwise, thousands of men, and everything about our lives will be shattered if I don't. So he writes off a letter to give to a messenger. Now this messenger is very old. So he gives this very old messenger, but loyal, this letter and says, you must hurry back to Mycenae and give this letter to Clytemnestra, my wife. Because the plan is to lure Iphigenia here to Aulis with the promise of marrying none other than Achilles, the greatest Greek hero. Of course, Agamemnon hadn't counted on Clytemnestra being excited and wanting to join the party too. Anyway, he sends off this messenger and then he has a change of heart. And so Agamemnon says, well, I've changed my mind, and he tries to stop the messenger. But the message was intercepted by Menelaus, who at the time was still thinking, oh, well, this is a big betrayal. We need to sacrifice her. You need to do this for me. What are you doing? But again, they go through this, maybe you're right. Because Agamemnon says, well, but this is my child. How can I slice her throat open? How can you ask me to do this? And this is when Menelaus has his moment of, maybe you're right. Maybe we shouldn't do this. But Talthybius gets a hold of this whole story. he gets the letter and sends it off anyway, one of the other Greeks. So as it stands, Clytemnestra, Iphigenia, they all show up. But this whole time, Agamemnon's going back and forth. Should I? Shouldn't I? Should I? Shouldn't I? What's the point of this? We think, wow, what a weak guy. What a wishy-washy king. What he's doing is illustrating the concept that the Greeks held very dear to them as well, that a man's duty is first to his community above all else. Then you can think about your family. Then you can worry about yourself. So he's really highlighting this internal struggle between a man and his community, and which should he prioritize in his life. But anyway, I will make these slides available to you in the description. So Achilles he is here as part of the war effort. Odysseus had gone through a bunch of junk to convince him to go, so he shows up. Sorry, I have hair in my eyeballs. He shows up ready for war, and he finds out that Clytemnestra's here and Iphigenia's here. He'd come to meet with Agamemnon at his tent, runs into the ladies, and of course Clytemnestra's like, oh dear, dear Achilles, sweet man, come in, come see Iphigenia. And Achilles says, what? This isn't proper. I'm here to see your husband. And Clytemnestra, she's confused. She says something along the lines of, but you're to be my son-in-law. There's no need for this coldness, this distance. We don't need to stand on social customs now. Let's talk. And Achilles is confused even more, and he says, your son-in-law? She said, yes, yes, after you marry Iphigenia. Agamemnon let us know that. And Achilles says, Agamemnon let you know. What? What? Agamemnon, of course, lured the ladies in with this promise of marriage. And Achilles, he's not upset. He's, well, lots of women want to marry me. I get that. That's okay. And he didn't ask. He didn't ask to use my name to lure her here to kill her. That is a huge insult and disrespect to me and my name. I shall not let him kill Iphigenia. I will defend her. I will defend your daughter to the death. Iphigenia, come here. Do you want to die? I don't think so. I will stand up and defend you. If you want me to. If you want me to. What? What? Achilles? Are you kidding me? The greatest hero in ancient Greece ever. And you're going to come up with this muckety muck of, I'll save you. If you really want me to. Ah! Yes, he came in and he said, Nuptiae agonielskio quis audet meum nomen sic valere. Weddings, marriage ceremony, wedding, I know nothing about this. Who dares use my name thus? And because of that, he's ready and willing to fight all the Greeks and save Iphigenia if she really wants him to. Iphigenia, of course, goes back and forth with, oh, I don't want to die. But, I mean, I guess because if I don't, the Greeks, they're not going to be able to go to Troy, and I need to do this for the greater good of my culture. So again, a young lady's place is also to put duty to her society above her family and herself. The one person who never does this is Clytemnestra. Clytemnestra doesn't waver a bit. She says, no, you're not going to kill my daughter. This isn't happening. Iphigenia finally comes to the decision, you know what? I'm going to sacrifice myself for everyone else. That's what we're supposed to do. So she does. In all this pomp and ceremony, she leaves the tent. Clytemnestra is back screaming and wailing and, no, no, don't kill my daughter. She's seething against Agamemnon. Achilles walks along with Iphigenia, stands at the altar, and just kind of gives her the eye. All right, I'm here. If you really want me to, I'll do something. Then we get this cutscene. And a dude comes running back to Clytemnestra's tent. And what he has to tell her is, Miru, dei Iphigeniam servoverunt, cervus in loco eus occisus est. What has he told Clytemnestra? That a deer was miraculously switched into Iphigenia's place. Iphigenia's disappeared. We have no idea where she's gone. And we killed the deer as a sacrifice to Artemis instead of your daughter. Of course, you would think that this would be amazing and everybody would rejoice and call this a deus ex machina, where the god comes in and saves the so-called heroine of this story. Clytemnestra does have a moment of, maybe they're just telling me this to make me feel better. But, she'd kind of rather hinge on her daughter being saved. After this, of course, all the Greeks happily get to sail off to fight the Trojan War, and you've probably heard that story. If not, we'll get into it at some point. But this particular myth highlights just how important the duty to one's community is over top of everything else. It also covers the cost of war, these sacrifices of your family. When you go off to war, you have no idea what's going on back at home with your family, your kids. Are they sick? Are they healthy? Are they okay? You yourself are probably potentially going to die, and a lot of men with you are going to die. Families in Troy are going to die. There's going to be mass destruction because of this war. So this also touches on those consequences of war. And we are left with Clytemnestra, who rails against the idea of duty to community over her family and herself. So that will be a big factor in one of our later stories. If you like these kind of stories, please hit the like and subscribe button. Check out the links in the description. You can go to my website, get some free educational resources, some things that go along with this story. I will also have a flash Latin lesson. Thank you, gratias tibiago et vale.